Oh, great, great. I should have done that with my background. That's a great
Oh,
background.
inspired. A big congrats on Psycho, the lost tapes of Ed Gein. It's insightful. It's disturbing, but I cannot turn away. I was glued.
Oh, great. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we haven't heard of Ed Gein's voice until now. Describe the series to our viewers and tell us why you got interested in directing the four-part docuseries.
Sure. So the series is about an historic American serial killer named Ed Gein. He existed in the 50s. He was caught in 1957. What's unique about him is not only that he murdered people, but he was a grave robber, and he would go around to graves and bring bodies home to his isolated farmhouse and create basically, masks and bowls and all sorts of things like out of the human remains that he found. And when his atrocities were discovered, a novelist by the name of Robert Bloch, who is the next town over, wrote this story about him that he called Psycho. That was, the rest is kind of history. That was bought by Alfred Hitchcock, and it became one of the biggest movies, biggest horror movies of all time. And then other filmmakers followed suit, and he became the basis of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Silence of the Lambs in the 90s. So that is what the series is about. And I just find Ed Gein fascinating. I mean, he existed in a time before serial killers really existed. He did some of the craziest things ever recorded. There really has not been a killer like him since him, I would say.
And I hope no more.
Yeah, thankfully.
But I know the correlation. You mentioned it briefly between Ed Gein and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Mostly superficial, though. The Leatherface, even Silence of the Lambs. But I didn't know the correlation between him and Norman Bates of Hitchcock's
Yeah,
Psycho. It's intriguing, and talk to us a little bit about that.
sure. Actually, so when Ed Gein was caught, this American novelist Robert Bloch was living very close, about 30 miles away, and he was looking for a story, and he was reading these news reports as Ed Gein was crimes were being discovered. So he wrote Psycho. Kind of that inspired him to write Psycho, and in the book actually. Norman Bates is a lot closer to Ed Gein. He's older. He looks more like Ed Gein. He's an alcoholic. He's a lot rougher around the edges. In the movie, they kind of recast the Norman Bates character and rewrote him so he was more like a Hollywood leading man. And then they picked Anthony Perkins, who obviously is very handsome and charismatic, unlike Ed Gein in the movie.
Well, and,
But
and the mother connection too. I mean, that's intriguing, but that's for the viewers to find out.
yeah, but yeah, the story, like you said, the story is pretty similar. I mean, Ed Gein didn't own a hotel. He lived in a farmhouse. The whole kind of robbery angle of the movie, it didn't exist in real life, but the atrocities, Ed Gein's obsession with his mother, all these kind of things, that stayed true.
In your creation of the series, what was the biggest discovery you found about Ed Gein?
Um, you know, I mean, the tapes themselves are the biggest discovery. Just hearing his voice. I mean, what was really fascinating about the tapes was that he seemed almost like an investigator. Like he was trying to figure out why he did the things he did. Right? Like he's inquisitive. He doesn't actually seem to understand. He knows he did them, but he doesn't understand why. And I found that was really interesting. I thought that was really intriguing and kind of a revelation. I mean, in terms of just like pure, like what did we discover that really shocked us was the existence of the tapes in the first place. They didn't tell anyone they recorded them. They historically the district attorney had reported that Ed Gein had confessed much later. I mean, so this really did change the timeline of his arrest and what happened.
Now, Mr. James, finally, Psycho, The Lost Tapes of Ed Gein begins streaming on MGM Plus on September 17th.
Yeah.
Every new episode every Sunday. What do you hope for viewers to get after watching the series?
We approach this from a horror perspective. So I hope people are scared. I hope people are fascinated. I hope people are intrigued. And I hope people are just, as become kind of as healthy obsessed with the Ed Gein case as I am.
Look, I am a true crime series fan. You're preaching to the choir. But I was
Okay.
watching it like 2 in the morning. I was like, oh my, I couldn't take myself away. Thank you for the nightmares. A big congrats. I'm
Thank
so
you.
sorry
Thank you.
again. And once again, thank you for haunting my dreams, Mr. James.
It's a pleasure to meet you.